When I first moved to the Philippines, I thought spirits only meant tequila. But apparently here they come with names. Lots of names. There's the Aswang that loves liver, the Duwende that lives in the soil and gets angry when you move your furniture, the white lady who prefers haunting lonely roads, and the tiyanak, which, get this, is a baby that cries to lure people into the forest. In Czech Republic, we have ghosts too, but they mostly stay in castles and mind their own business. Filipinos, however, seem to share their neighborhoods with these creatures like they're bad neighbors who just never move out. It all started one quiet evening in my small rented house in Batangas. My landlady, Aling Merlinda, came running to me, waving a small pouch like it was a grenade. "Anak, may narinig daw akong kumakaluskos sa likod bahay mo kagabi. Lagyan natin ng asin." I blinked. "Salt? You want to season the backyard?" She looked at me horrified. "Hindi. Pangontra sa masamang espiritu, to ward off bad spirits." And that's how my education on Filipino spiritual defense began. That night, we went outside with a bowl of salt like we were about to prepare margaritas for ghosts. Merlinda sprinkled it around the corners of the yard, muttering something that sounded suspiciously like she was negotiating rent with the unseen world. "Always put salt on doorways," she explained, "so the Aswang can't enter. They hate purity." I nodded, pretending I understood. But deep inside, I wondered if the Aswang had ever considered therapy instead of breaking into people's houses. The next morning, I woke up to a new ritual, Usog. My neighbor's kid had been crying nonstop, and her mother said it was because he got nausog. Someone had admired him too much without saying puera usog. Apparently, in Filipino superstition, if someone compliments your baby, ang cute, without saying that phrase, the baby might get sick or fussy. So I practiced in front of the mirror. "So cute, puera usog." I sounded like a witch who just learned customer service. But it was real, an old protection charm that goes back to pre-colonial times when people believed that energy could be transferred through words and stares. Even modern Filipinos still whisper it when complimenting someone's baby. It's not just a saying, it's energy etiquette. Later that week, Merlinda insisted we visit a hilot, a traditional healer, because I had been coughing. We arrived at a bamboo house that smelled like ginger and mystery. Inside, a grandmother with eyes that could read your childhood sat cross-legged with bottles of oil and a rosary. She rubbed coconut oil on her palms, said a short prayer, and began massaging my back while muttering, "Mainit. May pasma ka." Pasma is another Filipino concept that doesn't exist in Czech. It's when your body's hot and cold energies mix badly, like showering right after ironing clothes or drinking cold water after exercise. It's believed to cause numbness, shivering, or weakness. So she rubbed my arms, pressed my back, and then flicked a few drops of oil into a bowl of water. "Pag lumubog yan, may espiritu kang nasagap. If the oil sinks, it means you absorbed a bad spirit." I leaned in like a scientist observing data. The oil floated. She smiled. "Okay na. Wala kang masamang espiritu. Pero maglagay ka ng bawang sa kwarto mo, pangontra." I went home that day smelling like a stir-fry, but apparently spiritually sanitized. By now, I was half convinced that Filipino houses are like fortresses for ghost prevention. There's salt at the door, garlic by the window, and sometimes even a broom behind the door. Yes, because some Filipinos believe that sweeping the floor right after visitors leave sweeps away bad energy. I tested it once. A neighbor visited, and as soon as she left, I picked up the broom and cleaned dramatically. My landlady peeked and shouted, "Ay! Wag ngayon! Gabing-gabi na!" Turns out you're not supposed to sweep at night either, because it's believed to sweep away blessings and luck. So there I was, mid-broom stroke, accidentally bankrupting myself in spiritual currency. Then came the most famous myth test, the Aswang. Everyone in my barangay, village, seemed to have a cousin or uncle who once met an Aswang. It said they're shapeshifters, daytime humans, nighttime predators. They detach their upper body and fly with wings, hunting for pregnant women to suck the unborn baby's blood. That night, as the power went out, again, Merlinda whispered, if you hear flapping sounds, don't look out the window. That's how they find you. So of course I looked out the window. A giant bat swooped across the sky. I screamed, threw salt at it, and hit the neighbor's cat instead. Later, I found out that locals really do use salt, garlic, and sharp objects as protection symbols against Aswangs. In some provinces, people even keep buntot paji, dried stingray tails, hanging by the door as a spiritual whip to scare them off. That's a real thing. I checked. I also learned the word tawas, an old ritual where healers use melted alum or candle wax to diagnose what kind of spirit or curse is affecting you. They drip the wax into water, and the shape that forms supposedly reveals your spiritual problem. I tried it once with a local albulario, healer. The wax formed what looked like a duck. He frowned seriously. May nagpaparamdam sa'yo. Siguro multo ng foreigner din. I wasn't sure whether to be flattered or terrified. One afternoon, I experienced a pamahiin lesson, the Filipino system of superstitions that apply to almost every part of life. Merlinda told me, "Don't sit by the door when eating. You'll never get married." I moved my chair, just in case. Then she warned me not to take a bath during a thunderstorm because lightning might strike me. "But I'm inside," I argued. She shrugged. "Lightning can find you. It knows. Filipino logic doesn't always need science. It just needs respect." Eventually, my curiosity became a kind of cultural experiment. I decided to spend one whole week doing every major anti-spirit ritual I could find. Day 1, salt and garlic at the door. Day 2, no whistling at night, because whistling supposedly calls spirits. Day 3, knock before entering strange places or anthills, tabi-tabi po, to excuse yourself from disturbing duwendes. Day 4, no combing hair at midnight, because ghosts might join you. Day 5, burning incense and palo santo for energy. Day 6, sleeping with a rosary under the pillow. Day 7, pouring vinegar and salt into corners during full moon, para mawala ang malas. By day 3, my house smelled like a salad. By day 5, my dog stopped sleeping near me. By day 7, my neighbors started calling me the red-haired mangkukulam, but strangely, I slept better. On my last day of spiritual boot camp, I visited a local elder named Mang Victor, who was said to have fought an Aswang in the 1980s using only a bolo and prayer. He sat me down under a mango tree and explained in slow Tagalog, "You foreigners, you have science. We have stories, but stories keep our hearts safe." He told me that these rituals aren't just for fear, they're about respect for unseen forces and balance with nature. The salt, garlic, and prayers weren't just weapons against evil. They were symbols of cleanliness, humility, and gratitude. Sometimes, he said, the Aswang we fight isn't outside, it's our own fear. That hit me harder than my first mosquito bite in the tropics. That night, as I sat on the porch under a sky full of suspiciously large bats, I realized something. Filipino myths, as strange and funny as they seem to foreigners, are deeply human. They teach caution, kindness, and respect. For people, for places, and even for the things we can't explain. Maybe the rituals don't actually keep away spirits. Maybe they just remind us to live with awareness of what's around us and within us. Still, I wasn't taking chances. I sprinkled a little more salt by the door, just in case. Cultural value summary for the viewers. Aswangs, shape-shifting ghouls from Visayan mythology. They symbolize fear of the unknown and teach community vigilance. Duwendes, small earth spirits. Respecting them reflects Filipino harmony with nature. Usog, belief in energy transference. Teaches kindness and mindful speech. Pasma and hilot, traditional balance between hot-cold energies. Keeps people connected to natural healing. Pamahiin, everyday superstitions passed down through generations. They reflect cultural wisdom and social discipline. Tawas and albulario, folk diagnostics connecting spiritual and emotional wellness. Shows faith in both science and spirit. In the end, I learned that the Philippines doesn't separate laughter, fear, and faith. They all dance together like fireflies on a humid night. And me? I'm just the red-haired Czech woman who came for the sunshine and stayed for the spirit.